It's time for another installment of the basics, and on today's show I'm going to finally tell you about incident cards in the Star Trek customizable card game. Mainly because I haven't talked about them yet and someone has actually asked me about them, so here goes! The best way to describe incident cards in the Star Trek card game would be to say that they help move the universe along, or in this case, the game. Now, incident cards can play like events or interrupts, or they can be seeded ahead of time. I do use them in a couple decks. I prefer to use them as event or interrupts. I don't bother seeding them for reasons that, especially if you're playing with a Q's Tent side deck, that's where you want to keep these depending on what your opponent is doing and who he's playing as I'm going to get into. So for example, you have cards like Access Denied. Place on any opponent's mission, adds 1 computer skill to mission requirements and increases existing computer skill requirements of each dilemma there by 1. That's awesome. That could just totally screw them from completing that mission, which is great. Scanner Interference. This is awesome too. Nullifies each scan and full planet scan unless owner has 2 computer skill aboard a staff ship at targeted mission. If he's just played a scan on you to see what your hand is, and you play this, and he doesn't have that computer skill, oops, ain't happening, and that saves you from revealing what's in your hand. Emergency evacuation. If your ship or facility is being destroyed, or you just encountered an abandoned ship, you may place entire crew under that abandoned ship, or download Escape Pod, ignoring other cards in the process. Very good. Add distinctiveness. This is mainly if you're playing as Borg. It gives you bonus points, and you can get more of the red iconed drones out onto your ship. Cards like Panel Overload. When opponent plays Scan or Full Planet Scan, you may kill 1 computer skill personnel on any ship there. Death! You think that's bad? No way out. All personnel must mortally wound and stun their adversaries when possible. So if you've got 2 competing away teams on a planet and each away team has a ton of weapons in their equipment, get ready for some death. Ultimatum is good. You can immediately download the Bajoran Wormhole, and if you're playing as Dominion, your engineer can download at a remote supply depot for free. Ooh. And of course, cue the referee. Now you notice a lot of incident cards have the referee icon. So a lot of cards such as Intermix Ratio, Mirror Image, Oof, Intruder Alert, and so on now have the referee icon. Once each turn, you may play 1 referee card for free or discard 1 of your referee cards from hand or in play to draw a card. That can be very useful if you're short on cards in your hand, but you have a couple of these referee icon cards either in play or in your hand and you want to get rid of them. What's not to like? So there you have it. Incident cards. There are many more. I do not have time to talk about all of them, but they are useful to a certain extent. But please take my advice. Do not seed them because they may not be used if they're seeded. Keep them in your Q's side tent. Even keep a couple in your main draw deck. Now, there is one disadvantage to incident cards. And if you and your opponent have too many of them in a draw deck or in a side deck, and that's all you're constantly doing is playing incident cards, nothing else really gets done in the game, and you're pretty much stalled on the space line. So I wouldn't recommend using a ton of them, as I said earlier. Keep 2 or 3 in your draw deck, and keep a few more in your Q's Tent side deck if you're playing with one. If not, you'll have to figure it out yourself, but I wouldn't put too many in your draw deck. That's all for today. Have a great day, everybody.